Discover the hidden truth, 48 heartwarming hours that changed everything for 1 million hearts. In a town where the chiming of factory whistles was once the anthem of prosperity, an eerie silence had settled. Jamie, a 28-year-old woman wrapped in determination, stood at the edge of her childhood yard, where faded dreams lay as scattered as the rusted remnants of old machinery. She felt the weight of her community's unfulfilled hopes resting heavy on her shoulders, a patchwork of families whose hearts and stories were aching to be told. Gathering her friends and family together, their voices rose and fell like the distant echoes of laughter that used to fill these streets. "I can't believe it. The meeting is just 2 days away. This is our chance to bring our wellness center to life," Jamie declared, but inside, she was crumbling under the weight of doubt. Would they be heard or swallowed up by the cold, hard corporate machine represented by Mr. Thompson? As the clock ticked menacingly in the back of her mind, Jamie glanced at her friends, destruction brewing under the surface. A small business owner struggled against corporate chains that overshadowed every daring dream. The teacher fought valiantly against the tides of budget cuts, striving to inspire students in a system that was slowly unraveling. And the weary nurse, carrying the burden of her patients' mental health struggles, voiced fears that echoed around the room, raw and vulnerable like freshly opened wounds. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as they began brainstorming solutions, laughter and tears dancing together in a bittersweet symphony, Jamie stumbled upon a hidden letter. Dusty and old, it slipped through her fingers and landed with a soft thud. Curiosity ignited, she opened it, uncovering a lost connection that linked her family's fate with the rise and fall of the town. The words inside revealed struggles and victories shared by those before, reflecting the resilience coursing through her veins, but doubts gnawed at her insides like a slow poison. Would the corporate sponsor grasp the essence of their vision? Or twist it into something soulless? As a wave of passion surged through the group, igniting their spirits, Jamie's heart raced with the urgency of their mission. Could they redefine their story, reclaiming hope from the jaws of despair? The night deepened around them, shadows stretching across the walls as anticipation thickened in the air. With every nervous laugh, every shared glance, Jamie felt the room pulse with resolve. Yet as she prepared for the perfidious upcoming meeting, a question loomed larger than ever: would they rise as one, or would fear unravel the threads of unity spooled throughout the years? As she took a breath, readying herself to step into the spotlight, she sensed the power of all their stories entwined. What would happen when she reveals the hidden truths? Would they break free or remain shackled by doubt? The room fell silent, and all eyes turned towards Jamie, as she stood on the precipice of possibility, heart racing, surrounded by the whispers of a million dreams hanging in the balance. The air crackled with tension as Jamie adjusted her grip on the letter, the dusty paper now a tether to her ancestors' struggles. Each word pulsated in her mind, revealing layers of heartache and perseverance. In that dimly lit room, she sensed the weight of history pressing down, fueling her courage. Did anyone ever tell you how vital your voice is? A gentle voice broke through the tension. It was Mia, the nurse, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. This isn't just about us. We're carrying the hopes of everyone who fought for this town. How could we let it slip away? Jamie felt a stirring in her chest. Mia was right. They were standing on a fault line, where history met hope, and they held the power to shift the ground beneath their feet. But the specter of Mr. Thompson loomed larger than life now, and doubt crept back. What if he scoffed at their dreams? What if he turned their sanctuary into yet another cold, faceless entity? We can't let fear dictate our future, she said resolutely, her voice echoing in the room, solid as iron. But beneath her brave facade, her heart hammered, a desperate drum announcing the chaos in her mind. If only their dreams didn't rest in the hands of a stranger still, one who thrived on disconnection. As they continued to discuss details for their wellness center, shadows danced along the walls, and Jamie could almost hear the whisper of every past generation clamoring for recognition. But suddenly, a sharp knock broke the rhythm, reverberating like a gunshot. Everyone froze, startled. "I'll get it," said Leo, the small business owner, already inching toward the door. When he opened it, a gust of wind rushed in, sweeping through the room like a harbinger of change. And then he stepped aside. A tall, suited man with piercing blue eyes filled the doorway. "I'm sorry for the interruption. I hope I'm not too late to join this exciting gathering." Mr. Thompson smiled, but his eyes glinted with something ominous. Jamie's stomach dropped. "What are you doing here?" She felt exposed under his scrutinizing gaze, every glitch of resolve shattering like glass around her. "Oh, I heard whispers of an important meeting about revitalizing our lovely town. Thought I'd check in on the community's progress. A benevolent investor must stay informed." His voice dripped with sarcasm, and Jamie felt a shiver down her spine. Was he mocking them? Mia stepped forward, bristling. "We don't need your kind of benevolence. We're here to help each other, not to be pawns in your game." The room tensed. Jamie could feel the undercurrents of doubt swarming, suffocating her hopes like a thick fog. Was this the critical moment they would break or rise? Could they hold on against a force like him? Yet, at that moment, a flicker of determination burned in Jamie's heart. It ignited the flame of every dream they harbored. "You may think you can scare us, but we're not hiding anymore," she declared, surprising herself with the fierceness of her own words. Mr. Thompson's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Interesting. I suppose we'll see if you can indeed make a difference," he shot back, stepping into the room like a confident wolf among rabbits. As the ambient chatter fell into a hush, Jamie felt the collective heartbeat of her community raw, determined, but fragile. Would they convince him to support their dreams, or would his ambitions overshadow their voices? The challenge loomed, but Jamie's resolve solidified. In that charged silence, she locked eyes with her friends, trusting their connection could weave into something transcendent. Yet, a niggling worry curled in her gut. What was hidden in this confrontation? Who would truly emerge as the victor in their battle for survival? The air throbbed with intensity, and Jamie realized they were just steps away from a confrontation that could decide their fate. Would they shatter Mr. Thompson's mask of confidence, or would they watch their dreams evaporate in the glittering facade he cast? As she braced for the storm, one thing was certain: revelations were coming, but would they be revelations that liberated them or ensnared them deeper in the web of corporate greed? Mia took a deep breath, rallying herself as she faced Mr. Thompson. "What we're trying to do here is bigger than you realize," she said, her voice steady despite the fear pooling in her stomach. "We're not asking for your approval, we're demanding respect for our community. Our history is not merely a backdrop for your profits, Mr. Thompson." A low murmur rippled through the small gathering. Jamie could feel the swell of solidarity building around them, but fear pulsed in the air. Mr. Thompson's expression hardened. "Respect?" he repeated, his voice like ice. "You think you can demand respect from someone like me? You're mistaken." He took a step forward, and the air crackled as if charged with electricity, igniting the tension. Jamie clenched her fists. "We won't let this slip away," she said, almost breathless. "You know nothing about what this place means to us." "True, I don't." His voice was smooth, but the sincerity was tainted. "Perhaps that's why I'm here. To explore options." Leo's jaw tightened. "Options? You mean you see us like a project, something to derail or revamp for profit?" "Let us call it what it is," he replied, a smirk twitching at the edge of his lips. "I'm here to invest. To make something better. You're not the only people who can dream." Jamie glanced around the room. The faces of her friends reflected a mix of hope and dread. Could they really trust him? What were his true intentions? Better? Mia snapped. Is that what you call tearing down our history? Changing the face of this town into something unrecognizable for your own gain? Careful, he warned, leaning back against the doorframe. It's not wise to anger someone who holds the purse strings. The implication was chilling. A murmur of disbelief ran through the group, each member feeling the depth of uncertainty as Mr. Thompson's words loomed over them. They were at the precipice, and Jamie felt her heart race. This was more than just a meeting, it was a war of wills. Investing doesn't have to mean destroying our community, Jamie interjected, resolve hardening. It can mean lifting it up. We need you to understand. Mr. Thompson straightened, his demeanor shifting, now almost curious. What makes you think I care about lifting this town? It's easier to condemn it to the ground. Mia stepped closer, challenging him. Because in your heart of hearts, you know there's value in connection, something that crumbles every time a company bulldozes through lives. He chuckled softly, shaking his head. The sound echoed sharply against the walls, and the laughter faded into something darker, more threatening. You're wasting my time. As the temperature dropped in the room, Jamie fought back a surge of panic. If they lost this moment, everything would fall apart. We don't want to be pawns. We want our voices to matter, she shouted, desperation tinging her voice, desperate for something to pierce through to him. The silence that followed felt like an abyss. Jamie's heart raced as she scanned the faces around her. Would they hold firm? Could they withstand the corporate machine Mr. Thompson embodied? Fine, he replied after a long pause, his tone now surprisingly light. Let us play a game then. Game? Jamie echoed, puzzled. Meet me tomorrow at the old mill site at noon. I'll listen to your proposal, and we'll see what you're really made of. But know this, failure will cost you dearly. Every eye in the room widened as the realization washed over them. It was a challenge. One that could tip the scales, but would it be in their favor or seal their fates? With one last glance that felt like a weight upon her shoulders, he turned and strode out, the door swinging shut behind him with a final, ominous thud. What just happened? Leo exclaimed, baffled. We prepare, Jamie replied fiercely, determination igniting her voice. Tomorrow, we fight for all of this. But as she spoke, doubt wormed its way into her heart. Could they produce a proposal that was strong enough to withstand his demands? And what secret motives lay hidden behind Thompson's calm exterior? As the group began brainstorming, Jamie's thoughts drifted. The shadows from the letter still loomed large and dark, reminding her that history wasn't just a page in a book. It was alive, a surging river of voices that echoed her ancestors' fights, and tomorrow, they'd need every ounce of that power. But would their courage be enough to face the depths of a man who thrived on fear and control? The sun rose shyly over the horizon, its rays creeping into Jamie's room like fingers reaching for warmth. She lay awake, her heart hammering like a drum in a parade. Thoughts of the meeting at the old mill swirled in her mind, igniting a fire of anxiety deep within her gut. What if they failed? What if Mr. Thompson's game was rigged against them before it even began? Time ticked slowly as Jamie dressed, the anticipation creeping under her skin. Every decision felt monumental: what to wear, how to present their proposal. They needed to convince him, but what kind of language did he understand? Profit or heritage? She shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. Every second felt heavy, pressing down on her shoulders. The gathering at the familiar site was slightly nerve-wracking. As she stepped onto the crumbling pavement of the old mill, she took a deep breath, scanning the area for her friends. In the distance, she could see Mia and Leo huddled together, their faces taut with determination. Hey, Jamie greeted them, her voice a blend of resolve and fear. Are we ready? Mia nodded, but there was an edge of uncertainty in her eyes. We have to make him see, she said, her words simple but weighed down by the enormity of their task. If he thinks we're just a bunch of kids waving banners, we're toast. What's the plan? Leo asked, his brow furrowed. Jamie fumbled with the papers in her hands. We show him what this place means. It's history. Our families, our lives, it's all written in the walls and the stones. Mr. Thompson arrived punctually, his silhouette sharp against the soft morning light. He stepped out of his sleek black car and walked toward them with an air of unimpressed authority, hands in his pockets. Jamie's stomach dropped. Did he even realize the power he wielded so carelessly? Glad to see you all here, he said, his voice smooth, like silk, but underneath lay a steel edge. Ready to convince me? Mia stepped forward, her voice resonated with strength. We have something to show you, something beyond your spreadsheets and profit margins. This isn't just an investment for us. It's our legacy. He raised an eyebrow, a mocking smile hovering at the corner of his lips. A legacy? What does that even mean? As Mia began to speak, detailing the stories of families who lived and fought to build this community, the air between them thickened. Jamie could feel the weight of history coiling around them like a living beast, breathing life into their words. There's a heartbeat here, Jamie chimed in, gesturing widely. Every corner of this mill carries a story, hard work, laughter, love. It's our identity. Mr. Thompson's smile faded slightly, and for just a moment, the mask slipped. Interesting, but why should that matter to me? As he said this, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. Had they struck a nerve? The energy shifted dramatically, the air humming with unspoken tension. It felt as if the ground beneath them churned with the voices of generations, urging them on. Because, Jamie countered quickly, her voice sharper now, every investment lies in its roots. Tear down the roots, and the tree will die. It's not just about the bottom line, it's about sustainability. And we are the roots. His gaze narrowed, scrutinizing them as if searching for weaknesses. Jamie fought the urge to fidget. Would he relent? Or was this just part of the game of manipulation? Without warning, the sound of a loud truck engine roared in the distance, cutting through the tension like a knife. Jamie's heart raced. Something wasn't right. Before she could process it, the truck barreled into view, its container marked with a familiar logo, the very company that had threatened their community before. Clenching her fists, she exchanged worried glances with Mia and Leo. What the hell is that? Mr. Thompson muttered, his casual demeanor vanishing. As the truck screeched to a halt, Jamie's instincts kicked in. This was bigger than a simple negotiation. Whatever was about to unfold could change everything. What's your plan, Mr. Thompson? She demanded, her heart pounding. Or do you want to hide behind those corporate walls while we fight for our lives? And just like that, amidst the unexpected chaos, Jamie realized their fight wasn't just about words, it was a journey into the unknown. Would they still be standing together amidst the unraveling truth? As the truck's doors swung open, revealing something menacingly concealed inside, Jamie couldn't shake off the icy chill that clawed at her spine. If this was his idea of a game, it wouldn't just be her heart at stake. Tomorrow wouldn't be just about proposals, it was a battle for survival, and she couldn't predict what would emerge from that truck. The doors of the truck creaked open, and a palpable tension filled the air. Jamie squinted into the growing shadow, her heart racing in her chest. From where she stood, the ominous hulks of machinery began to emerge, glistening under the morning sun. They looked menacing, like beasts waiting to be unleashed. What is that? Leo whispered, stepping closer to Jamie, his voice trembling. I don't know, she replied, trying to mask the fear creeping into her own words. Mr. Thompson stood frozen, his previous confidence shattered. This wasn't part of the plan, he muttered, his eyes darting back and forth between the equipment and Mia and Leo, searching for an exit strategy. A burly man climbed down from the truck, wiping his hands on a faded blue jumpsuit. His posture suggested he was accustomed to the scent of grease and the weight of heavy machinery. He fixed his gaze on Mr. Thompson, and the tension shifted again. "Boss wants this site cleared today," the man said, his tone gravelly, punctuated with authority. "You got 24 hours, and I'm not taking excuses. Start moving." Jamie's stomach plummeted. "What? Clear it? You can't just destroy this place." She felt a surge of adrenaline push her forward. This wasn't only about saving their community anymore, it was about standing up when everything was crumbling around them. The worker shrugged, uninterested in her passion. "That's not my problem, kid. You all had your chance." He turned to Mr. Thompson, whose expression had soured into a mask of conflict. "Listen," Thompson said, the steel returning to his voice, "I'll deal with this. Just give us some time." "Time's what you don't have," the man replied coldly, stepping back to the truck, where workers were gearing up for what looked like an assault on their beloved mill. Jamie's heart raced. How could they let this happen? The weight of her friends' gazes fell on her, and she felt the rush of desperation. "We can't just stand here." Mia's voice came behind her, softer but resolute. "Jamie, what do we do?" Panic bubbled in her chest, but then she thought of the stories, the laughter, the memories tied to this place. "We do whatever it takes," she declared, a steely resolve taking root inside her. "We stand and fight. We can't let them erase us without a struggle." "Are you crazy?" Leo said, the fear evident in his eyes. "What if they call the cops?" "Then we'll explain everything to the cops," she shot back, fear mixing with determination. "This is our home." Behind them, Mr. Thompson appeared to be weighing his options. The confident businessman she'd confronted earlier was beginning to crack. "Look," he said slowly, "if we can get them to see why this place matters, then let us make them see." Jamie interrupted, igniting the fire within her. "Let us gather everyone, get our neighbors, our families, share what this place means to us. They can't just bulldoze through history like it's nothing." Mia nodded, her strength returning. "We need a plan. We can rally people. Show them there's more at stake than just a property line." Even Leo's face brightened just a bit as he slowly joined in. "A protest? We could turn it into an event, all the stories, all the faces that make this town real." Mr. Thompson's brows furrowed, but Jamie could see a flicker of hope in his eyes. Maybe he'd join this fight after all. Before they could formulate a plan, another man from the truck shouted over, making their hearts drop. "Let us get moving. It's just a building." "Just a building?" The phrase sent a chill through Jamie. "Not to us," Jamie murmured, clenching her fists. She could already feel the crowd gathering in her heart, breathing life into a frightened dream. They would fight with everything they had. As Jamie turned towards the mill, determination surged through her veins. The stories of the past echoed in her mind, fueling her resolve. But as she stepped forward, she could feel a weight bearing down, an unshakable sense that something more sinister was at play. What else was Mr. Thompson hiding? With the clock ticking away, Jamie knew this wasn't just a fight to save a legacy. It would be a battle against a looming darkness, one that threatened to consume not just their mill, but everything they stood for. And in that moment, as the sun continued to rise, the impending clash shimmered in the air, promising revelations that would change everything. The crowd began to gather as news spread like wildfire through the small town. Jamie's heart raced, she could already feel the energy buzzing around her. Families, neighbors, friends, faces she'd grown up with, all were here now, drawn by a shared love for a place that felt more like home than any house ever could. "Are you sure about this?" Mia asked, urgency flickering in her eyes. "What if they really do bring in the cops?" Jamie nodded, her throat dry. "If we don't do this now, we might lose it forever." She held herself steady, finding strength in the spirits of those who shared her resolve. As the crowd filled the space around the mill, Jamie climbed onto a crate, her voice trembling yet firm. "Listen. They want to bulldoze our history, take away our memories. We can't let them. Cheers erupted, echoing against the mill's weathered walls. But as she scanned the sea of faces, the knot in her stomach tightened. What about Mr. Thompson? Could he really be trusted? From the corner of her eye, she spotted him pacing, his brow lined with worry. She could feel the tension humming in the air. He whispered hurriedly to the burly man who had first descended from the truck, casting wary glances at Jamie and her group. What are they talking about? Leo asked, barely able to keep the fear from his voice. They're planning something, Jamie replied, her head spinning with possibilities. We need to stay alert. Just then, the truck's rear doors swung wide open again. The metal clanging echoed through the crowd, stealing their attention. More workers poured out, armed with tools that looked like instruments of destruction. A symphony of dread coursed through Jamie as she took a step back. Hey! Someone shouted from the crowd, a voice cutting with authority. You can't just come here and destroy our home. We won't let you. The burly man turned, his face unreadable. You think yelling will stop this? I told you, we have orders. It's not just yelling, Jamie interjected, stepping forward with newfound resolve. We have stories. Families. Lives. This place is part of who we are. Her voice rang out, carrying weight in the air, raising spirits. Yet deep inside, questions gnawed at her. What kind of orders? Who was the boss that wielded such power over their lives? Enough. The burly man's voice boomed, silencing the crowd. You have to know when to fold, kid. This is not a game. In that moment, Jamie realized how serious this confrontation was. The men weren't only here to take down their mill, they were here to intimidate. But the crowd's resolve surged, reluctant fear giving way to fierce determination. People began to chant Jamie's words, their voices merging into a chorus of defiance, but as the chants filled the air, Jamie spotted a movement in the shadows, a figure lingering at the edge of the crowd, watching, waiting. Her heart pounded in her chest. Who were they? Were they allies, or something much darker? Jamie! Mia called out, pulling her gaze back to the chaos surrounding them. We need to decide now. Do we escalate this? Grab people's attention, or stay put? The distant sound of sirens cut through the air, sending chills down Jamie's spine. Time was not on their side. Did they really have a chance against what might be coming? We fight, she said, breathing hard, any trace of doubt slipping away. We don't back down. As the crowd rallied around her, the buildup of momentum was palpable, a wave threatening to crash. But amid their collective fury and hope, Jamie still couldn't shake a feeling of looming danger. What were they truly up against? And what would happen if the darkness lurking behind that figure stepped into the light? Time was running out, and with every passing moment, the stakes only grew higher. The air was electric. Tension coiled tightly around the crowd, every heartbeat a countdown to conflict. Jamie's pulse raced as she scanned the faces surrounding her, determination glimmering in their eyes. They were on the brink of something monumental. But even as chants filled the air, shadows loomed larger, and Jamie couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Can you see who that is? Mia whispered, her voice barely louder than the murmurs of the crowd. Jamie turned, but the figure remained just out of reach, obscured by the growing influx of bodies. Fear crawled up her spine, it felt almost accusatory, as if this unknown person could steal their resolve right from the pocket of hope they clung to. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind the mill. People jumped, startled. Jamie's heart seized. The workers, those men with their tools, had been distracting them. A plume of dust rose, swirling in the air like a bad omen. Hey! A man from the crowd yelled, his voice cracking. What the hell was that? Everyone stay calm. Jamie shouted, even as her throat tightened. Calm was the last thing she felt. We need to stay together. But the crowd began to stir, fear rippling like a wave. Parents grabbed their children, pulling them close. Uncertainty clawed at their resolve. As chaos threatened to break loose, Jamie noticed Mr. Thompson again. He did not waver. Instead, he marched toward the workers. "You're not getting away with this," he yelled, trembling with rage. His presence gave Jamie a flicker of courage. "Jamie, we can't let them start," Mia said, clenching Jamie's arm. "We have to do something." But before Jamie could respond, one of the workers raised a tool high, swinging it toward the milling crowd. She gasped, adrenaline firing through her veins. "No! Stop!" Jamie yelled, launching herself onto a nearby crate again, this time soaking in the charged energy, her voice finding power from every corner of the gathering. "We can't let them scare us." The man hesitated, the tool dangling. The weight of the moment hung thick in the air, and every eye fixed on her, waiting for a lead. "Remember your stories. Our families built this place, my family built this place." Her voice trembled, but she pressed on. "You can't just bulldoze our memories. We won't allow it." Cheers erupted, but that lone worker's uncertainty turned into anger. He swiveled, muscles taut and features distorted. "You think this is just about you? This goes deeper than any story you tell." Before Jamie could register the words, before she could comprehend the implications, another crash rang out. This time, it came from a second truck rolling into the clearing, its dark paint glistening under the sun. The air filled with hushed whispers. More workers. More intimidation, and there it was, the figure from the shadows stepped into the light, a woman dressed sharply, her expression unreadable. She took a few deliberate steps forward, eyes scanning every face in the crowd. A disquieting calm radiated from her. "Enough of this," the woman said, her voice smooth and commanding. "I'm here to settle this." A shiver raced through Jamie. Who was she? What did she want? Before Jamie could react, the sirens wailed louder, now a clamor of authority that was unmistakable. Fear surged through the crowd, blending with the anger, uncertainty growing thicker than the midday heat. Jamie swallowed hard. "Together!" she roared, gripping the crate. "We fight! For all of us!" But just as the crowd began to chant again, the woman raised her hand, silencing them completely. "You have a choice to make. Fight, and you risk everything, or step aside, and save your homes." The weight of her pronouncement froze Jamie's tongue. Could they really risk it all? The moment hung heavy, and Jamie felt the world spin. What would she choose? In that piercing silence, Jamie caught Mia's wide eyes. What if they're bluffing? But before they could decide, something more explosive than any chant shattered the stillness, a loud bang, unmistakable and brutal. What had just happened? And would they finally find the truth lurking behind the facade? The noise reverberated through the air like the crack of thunder, splitting the crowd's attention in two. Panic washed over Jamie, her heart pounded against her ribcage as the shock of the sound settled into the pit of her stomach. She could hardly breathe. "Did you hear that?" Mia's voice wavered, echoing Jamie's own disbelief. The crowd trembled, faces shifting between disbelief and fear. Some began to retreat, while others surged forward, drawn by Jamie's earlier rallying cry. Jamie stood frozen, the chaos swirling around her. The woman had taken a step back, her sharp gaze now darting towards the source of the noise. "Everyone stay where you are." Mr. Thompson shouted over the din, but his authority felt fragile, teetering on the brink of collapse. What was that? Someone yelled from the back, their voice laced with urgency. "Is it gunfire?" The word hung heavy in the air, a dark cloud casting shadows over the crowd. A few people slunk low, instinctively diving for cover. Others turned toward the dark truck that had arrived, its menacing shape looming like a specter against the tension. "Look!" Mia gasped, her finger pointing. The back door of the truck swung open, revealing a cadre of masked figures, their forms obscured but their intentions clear. Jamie's breath caught in her throat, an icy tendril of fear gripping her heart. What were they doing? Why were they here? Get back! Jamie yelled, instinctively stepping forward to shield Mia. The crowd's collective gasp sent shivers through the air as uncertainty morphed into unbridled panic. She could feel them drawing closer, the fear like a tide, pulling away her resolve and leaving her exposed. Listen. We have to stay together. Jamie urged again, mustering all her strength, but every word felt weaker against the growing disorder. The masked figures climbed out, moving with precision, their intentions unreadable but chilling. Suddenly, one of them raised a hand, brandishing a device that beeped ominously. This is your last warning. You can walk away now or face the consequences. Consequences. The word echoed in Jamie's mind. What did it mean? Murmurs erupted among the crowd. Fear tangled with anger. Are they serious? Someone shouted. What do they want? I don't know, but we can't let them intimidate us. Jamie replied, her voice stronger than she felt. Deep down, she knew it wasn't just about standing her ground. It was about fighting for her home, for everyone. As another figure advanced towards her, the ground beneath Jamie's feet felt like it was slipping away. She glanced at Mia, who looked pale, a shocked expression frozen on her face. The woman in charge from earlier stood off to the side, calculating, as if waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jamie took a deep breath and stepped forward. You don't scare us. The masked figure hesitated. For a heartbeat, Jamie saw a flicker of uncertainty dance in their eyes. The tension ignited again like a dry match thrown into gasoline. Enough of this. Jamie shouted. We will not back down. You can bring your threats, but we stand united. The clash of wills sent waves through the gathering. A surge of conviction lit her core, but as the masked figure raised the device again, she knew knots of dread were woven tightly into their resolve. Run! Someone screamed, breaking Jamie's focus as chaos erupted anew. The masked figure sprang into action, and the crowd scattered like autumn leaves in a storm. Pushing and shoving, families searched for safety, faces marred with fear. Jamie felt a surge of desperation as she turned, searching for Mia. Mia! She called out, but her voice was lost in the panic. Time slowed. Jamie's heart raced. Would she find her friend? Just as she moved forward, something buzzed close by, wrapping around her arms like a vice. The world spun, screams filled her ears, drowning out everything else. As she lurched forward, determined to break free, Jamie's gaze caught the woman's piercing eyes. One last glimpse of her inscrutable face, a chilling reminder that all was not what it seemed. Who was she really? Before she could fully process her thoughts, an explosion shook the ground, and a blinding light consumed everything around her. Darkness swallowed her whole. What had she stepped into? And would she survive to uncover the truth lurking beneath it all? Jamie awoke to an overwhelming silence that pressed against her ears like thick fog. Her body ached, each rib inching painfully against the cold ground beneath her. Disoriented, she blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of the shadows swirling around her. Where am I?" she croaked, her voice barely breaking through the heavy atmosphere. As she pushed herself into a sitting position, the chill of concrete prickled against her skin. Her heart pounded, a war drum battling against the stillness. A faint light flickered in the distance, a sliver of hope against the unknown. She could still feel the weight of fear and chaos lingering in the air, a testament to the events that had spiraled out of control. "Mia!" she shouted, her voice cracking even louder in the quiet. Panic pierced through her. Had Mia escaped? Was she somewhere in this oppressive darkness? The thought coiled like a serpent around her gut. With trembling hands, Jamie pulled herself to her feet, her senses straining against the lingering threat. She took a moment, listening. The thump of her heartbeat filled the void. A door creaked in the distance, and she sprang into action, her instincts sharpening. As she moved cautiously towards the light, the shadows seemed to whisper, taunting her with echoes of the chaos. She stayed low, searching for cover. Her mind raced. What had happened? Was she alone? Emerging into the faint light, Jamie found herself in a dimly lit corridor, flickering neon signs casting an eerie glow on the metallic walls. The air was stale, charged with a sense of foreboding. Smudges of graffiti danced over the walls, cryptic warnings or remnants of someone else's turmoil. "Hello?" Jamie called out, the sound swallowed by the oppressive space. Footsteps echoed nearby, rapid and unsteady. Her heart dropped, the trepidation creeping back like a thief in the night. She ducked behind a rusted pipe just before a figure darted around the corner. It was a woman, disheveled but determined, her eyes scanning the dim room with panic-stricken focus. "Over here." Jamie whispered sharply, her voice almost desperate. The woman froze, then hesitantly approached. As she stepped into the light, Jamie recognized her instantly. "Lucy? Is that you?" The relief was almost immediate. "I thought I lost you." Lucy gasped, her breath shaking. "I ran when the explosion, it was chaos. I thought I'd never find you." "Where's Mia?" Jamie pressed, urgency bleeding through her anxiety. "I haven't seen her since everything went down," Lucy confessed, her eyes darting down the corridor as if something was lurking just out of sight. "But we need to find her." The determination in Lucy's voice ignited a spark in Jamie. "We have to stick together," she said, her brows furrowing. "They might still be around." Just as they took a step forward, a guttural crash echoed through the hall, sending shivers down their spines. The very walls seemed to tremble. "What was that?" Jamie whispered, fear flooding her senses again. "I don't know," Lucy muttered, her face paling. "We can't stay here, we have to move." As they turned to flee, a shadow loomed behind them. Heart racing, Jamie spun around, feeling the bile rise in her throat. Another figure had emerged from the darkness, more heavily armed than the ones before. "We're not done with you yet," a voice growled, chilling Jamie to the bone. Time stopped. The air felt electric, heavy with uncertainty and dread. What did they want from her? And what had she stumbled into? Before she could process a plan, Lucy yanked her forward. "Run!" she screamed, urgency propelling them into action. As they bolted down the corridor, Jamie's mind raced with questions. What lay ahead? Would they find Mia? Her heart thundered with each step as they plunged deeper into the unknown. The clock was ticking, and time was not on their side. Would they uncover the truth, or was it already too late? The cold, dark corridor twisted unforgivingly beneath their feet as Jamie and Lucy sprinted into the unknown. Fear clawed at Jamie's heart. What horrors awaited them? They needed to find Mia. "Keep moving," Lucy urged, her voice slicing through the heavy air. The ominous sounds of pursuit echoed behind them, a reminder that they weren't safe yet. They challenged the darkness, racing down a narrow passageway that seemed endless, their breaths coming in frantic gasps. Suddenly, a sharp turn took them into a brightly lit room filled with the throbbing hum of machinery. Nothing felt right. Jamie's instincts screamed at her, a warning that something sinister lurked within the sterile confines. Just then, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed behind them, growing closer. "Over there!" Jamie shouted, spotting a graffiti-covered door wedged slightly ajar. Without hesitation, they lunged through it, slamming it shut behind them, the sound reverberating in the hollow space. As they pressed their backs into the cool, rough surface, Jamie dared to catch her breath. "Where are we?" she whispered, glancing around the cramped space. Dim light filtered in through cracks in the ill-fitting door. Peering through, she could see a sprawling room filled with boxes, some marked with ominous signs. A sigh escaped Lucy's lips. This must be where they store the equipment. Fear mingling with resolution, Jamie's mind kicked into overdrive. "We have to find Mia. If she's in danger, the thought tightened her chest, nearly stealing her breath. Lucy nodded, determination glinting in her eyes. Let us look for anything we can use, information, tools, anything. They began rummaging through the stacks, each second feeling fuller than the last. Time was slipping through their fingers like sand. Suddenly, a metallic creaking pierced the air, and Jamie froze. The sound came from the door. They weren't alone anymore. Quick! Hide! Jamie whispered urgently, nearly dragging Lucy behind a pile of crates. As the door swung open, flooding the room with harsh light, they barely dared to breathe. A few figures entered, their shadows looming larger than life. One of them had Mr. Thompson's unmistakable silhouette, his voice a low growl. Find them. They must be nearby. Jamie's heart sank. They were searching for her and Lucy. What did Thompson want? The weight of dread pressed down on her as she listened intently, straining to hear through the rising panic. Sir, they can't have gone far. We need to set up a perimeter. A gruff voice suggested, but Jamie barely heard as her thoughts raced. This was far more than a corporate takeover, it felt like a personal war, a vendetta against everything she believed in. Why is he doing this? Lucy whispered, her fingers trembling. I don't know, Jamie replied, barely holding on to her calm. But we can't let him win. We need to get out of here and find Mia before it's too late. Suddenly, another voice broke through a distant shout echoing down the corridor. Jamie! Lucy! Where are you? It was Mia. Relief washed over Jamie, but urgency sparked. That's her. Jamie hissed, her heart pounding. We need to move. With a fierce sense of purpose, they crept towards the exit, fear thundering in their veins. Just as they reached the door, it pushed open, and thick shadows filled the threshold. Found you. Mr. Thompson's eyes were dark, icy. He stepped forward, a malevolent smile spreading across his face. You thought you could hide from the inevitable? The world turned brittle in Jamie's vision. You can't just tear us apart. She shouted, adrenaline fueling her voice. We're not afraid of you. To her shock, Thompson froze mid-step. His expression flickered with something she couldn't read. Was it doubt? Perhaps it was a sliver of humanity glimmering beneath his corporate mask. But it vanished as quickly as it arrived, replaced by cold resolve. Do you think courage won't lead you anywhere? He sneered, stepping closer. Your little dreams will crumble without my help. Just give up, it's easier. Jamie felt Lucy's small hand squeeze hers. Together, she reminded Jamie. Underscoring their shared strength. Ignoring the gnawing fear, Jamie spoke, the words echoing with passion. This isn't just a dream, this is our home. You can't erase the stories that live here. As if on cue, a crescendo of voices erupted outside, the gathered townsfolk rallying for support. We won't back down. We stand united. They chanted. The tension in Thompson's eyes flickered again, fear creeping in as realization dawned on him. This was no longer just about the mill. It was about lives lived, friendships forged, and their fight for identity. Get them. He commanded the approaching shadows, but it was too late. With the sudden rush of determination, Jamie and Lucy bolted, using their surprise as strength. The chaos ensued as the group stormed into the room, filled with individuals from the town union members, business owners, friends' faces she recognized, all standing firm against the tide of fear. Together. They shouted, a unified front against the intrusive shadows. Jamie felt a spark within her, igniting hope. In a wave of momentum, they propelled forward, standing shoulder to shoulder against the looming threat. You may have thought you could divide us, but you'll discover just how strong we are when we stand as one. The air thrummed with electricity as tensions rippled through the crowd. Mr. Thompson's facade began to crack, uncertainty creeping into his demeanor as he glanced at the forces behind Jamie. In that instant, Jamie knew together, they had the power to shift the tide. This fight wasn't just her battle anymore, it was their collective stand against disconnection and loss. And as they took that step, bound by an unbreakable hope, Jamie felt the truth rise like a phoenix among the ashes. Together, they could change everything that in the face of darkness, they shined brighter than ever before. This was their moment. This was the fight worth winning. And as the shadows began to recede, the dawn of a new beginning broke on the horizon, illuminating a path forged by unity and resilience. Let us reclaim our home. Jamie roared, leading her friends into the fray, the weight of all their stories past, present, and future flooding through the air with undeniable power. Together, they would rewrite their narrative. And they would no longer be passive players in someone else's game. This was just the beginning. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support, and only true fans understand the importance of boosting the channel through these actions.